All right, so today we're diving into something completely new for me.
Oh,
Vedic astrology.
interesting.
Yeah, I've got to admit, I don't know much about it at all.
Well, that's what makes these deep dives so much fun, right?
Exactly, learning something new together.
Absolutely.
And for this one, we're looking at the work of someone named Zoran the Dragon.
Okay.
And that's not a joke, that's actually the name.
I mean, when you think about it, dragons
Mm-hmm.
in myth and legend,
Right.
they have this ancient lineage.
Yeah.
They've always been there kind of observing,
Yeah.
watching the celestial movements,
So
right?
maybe Zoran the Dragon is onto something here.
Maybe they have some insights.
Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued.
Yeah.
So before we really get into it, I need to ask something that's always kind of confused me with Vedic astrology.
Okay.
Vedic astrology uses something called the sidereal zodiac, right?
Right.
How is that different from the tropical zodiac that we're more familiar with in the West?
Yeah, that's a really important distinction. The sidereal zodiac is based on the actual observable positions of the stars.
Hmm.
You can think of it like a giant clock face in the sky, and the constellations make up the numbers. So the sidereal zodiac is aligned with those fixed points. However, the tropical zodiac is based on the Earth's seasons and the equinoxes.
Oh,
So as the Earth, kind of wobbles a bit on its axis over time.
right. Precession.
Exactly, precession.
Yeah.
The stars themselves, they stay put. But that wobble means that the tropical zodiac has actually drifted away from the actual constellations.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, it's a little mind-blowing.
It is.
So the sign you've always identified with based on your birthday may not actually be the constellation the sun was in when you were born.
So I might not actually be a Taurus.
You might not be a Taurus. What's your birthday?
Early May.
Okay, well, we'd have to look at the exact degree, but there's a chance you could be an Aries in the Vedic system.
Wow. Okay, my mind is blown. So, if our signs are potentially different in Vedic astrology, what else should we be looking at in this system?
Well, one of the most fascinating parts of Vedic astrology to me are the nakshatras.
Okay.
These are like 27 lunar mansions that mark the moon's journey through the sky.
So, like chapters in the moon's story.
Exactly. And each nakshatra has its own unique energy,
Oh, interesting.
its own story, and even a special power called a Shakti that influences us.
So, it's not just our sun sign, but also like where the moon was hanging out at the time of our birth
Exactly.
and what energy it was absorbing from that specific nakshatra.
Exactly. It brings a whole other level of depth.
Okay, so are there any nakshatras that really stand out? Like, do any of them have particularly interesting stories?
Absolutely. So many.
Okay.
For example, Ashwini, the very first nakshatra,
Right.
that's represented by these twin horse-headed healers.
Horse-headed healers.
Yeah, the Ashwini Kumaras.
Mm.
They were known for their speed and skill in Ayurveda,
Which is...
the ancient Indian system of medicine.
Oh, wow.
So if your moon falls in Ashwini, you might have a natural inclination toward healing yourself. Or maybe a fast-paced, energetic nature.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And then there's Rohini. This one often resonates with people.
Hmm.
It's ruled by the goddess Prajapati.
Okay.
It's associated with beauty and abundance and creativity.
So the good stuff.
The good stuff, yeah.
Mm.
The moon is said to be most comfortable in Rohini, so it's a very auspicious nakshatra. You can kind of imagine it like a place of nourishment
Oh, cool.
and growth.
Yeah.
Where does your moon fall? Do you know?
You know, off the top of my head, I have no idea.
We should look it up.
Yeah, we should look it up.
We should definitely look it up. So then, of course, we have the Rashis,
Okay.
which are the Vedic zodiac signs themselves.
Right, and those are not the same as my Western sign, potentially.
Right, exactly.
Because sidereal versus tropical.
Exactly. So let's say someone's listening and they're thinking, okay, hold on. My mind is blown. My zodiac sign might be different. What now?
Right.
Well, that's where the beauty of Vedic astrology comes in. It gives you this personalized roadmap through your birth chart, which is called a kundli.
Okay.
Yeah, think of it as a snapshot of the sky at the exact moment you were born.
Like a cosmic fingerprint.
Precisely. No two are alike.
Okay.
And within that snapshot are all these clues
Okay.
about your strengths, your challenges,
Right. It.
your potential, even how different areas of your life might unfold over time.
Okay, that's fascinating. But I have to admit, when I hear birth chart,
Yeah,
my eyes kind of glaze over a bit.
I get it. It can seem complex. Like, how do I even begin to understand all of that?
Yeah, circles within circles, symbols I don't understand. Yeah.
So, picture this. You're looking up at the night sky at the exact moment you were born.
Okay.
The 12 houses of the kundli represent 12 different slices of that sky.
Okay. Like pieces of a pie chart.
Exactly.
Okay.
And each slice corresponds to a different area of life,
Right.
like career, relationships,
Yeah.
finances, health, all these different things.
So it's not just about like which sign the sun was in, but also about which of these slices of sky each planet fell into?
Exactly, exactly.
Right. At that exact moment.
And the position of the planets within those houses adds yet another layer of interpretation.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it.
Good.
So then, on top of all of that, we have the planets themselves, right?
Yes, yes, or rather, the grahas, as they're called, in Vedic astrology.
Okay, grahas, not planets.
That's an important distinction. In Vedic astrology, grahas are more than just celestial bodies.
Oh.
They're considered to be forces of nature,
Oh, interesting.
almost like deities with unique personalities and influences.
Okay, so like each one is kind of like a character
Yes,
in
exactly.
this cosmic play?
Yeah, it's like a cosmic play.
Okay, this is really cool.
Yeah.
So who are some of the main players, the main grahas that we should be paying attention to?
So we're talking about these grahas, these forces of nature, these deities.
Yeah, these characters in our cosmic play.
Exactly. And we have to remember that they're all kind of moving around within those houses.
Right, right. The slices of the sky
Yeah, exactly.
in our Kundli, in our birth chart.
Exactly.
So tell me more about that. Like, I'm still kind of wrapping my head around how to even picture this.
Okay, so imagine this. You have this chart, this kundli,
Yeah.
and let's say your Venus is associated with love and beauty and harmony, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Let's say your Venus falls in your 7th house,
Okay,
which is the house of partnerships.
okay.
It could suggest that you have this really deep-seated desire for harmonious relationships
Okay.
and a natural ability to create balance in your partnerships.
So even if two people have Venus in, like the same sign,
Right.
if it's in different houses in their birth charts,
Yes.
it could manifest in really different ways.
Exactly. It's all about the context.
Okay.
The houses provide that context.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So then, of course, you have the grasses themselves.
Right, okay, so let's talk about some of these like cosmic VIPs.
Okay.
You mentioned Surya, the sun, and Chandra, the moon.
Yeah, those are like the big two, right?
Okay.
So Surya, the sun, think of that as representing your soul, your core identity, your vitality.
It's like the driving force.
It's the driving force behind your will and your sense of self.
Okay.
So where Surya falls in your chart can tell you a lot about your life purpose
Okay.
and how you kind of express yourself in the world.
Got it.
And then you have Chandra, the moon, which represents your mind, your emotions, your inner world.
So it's like the internal introspective side of ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's connected to your intuition, your feelings, your nurturing instincts.
Okay, so Surya is kind of like the outward facing self, the energy we project.
Yeah.
And then Chandra is more the introspective side, the internal landscape.
I like that. That's a good way to put it. And it's so interesting how those two play off of each other.
Okay.
For example, like someone could have Surya in a fiery sign, like Aries, right?
Okay.
So they might be very assertive and action-oriented.
Yeah.
But if their Chandra falls in a water sign like Cancer,
Oh, interesting.
they might also be super sensitive and in tune with their emotions.
So it's like those two are always in conversation.
They're always in conversation.
Shaping how we deal with things.
Yeah,
Okay, this is really cool.
right. It's fascinating.
So what about some of the other grahas? Like you mentioned Rahu and Ketu.
Yes, the shadow planets.
They sound a little intense.
They're unique
Okay.
because they're not actual physical planets like the others.
Oh, okay.
They're these points in space
Yeah.
that mark where the moon's orbit kind of intersects with the sun's path.
Okay.
And in Vedic astrology, they're associated with karma,
Right.
destiny, and the soul's journey through lifetimes.
So like even though they're not physical planets,
Right.
there's still these points that hold a lot of meaning.
Yes, exactly.
That was fascinating.
So you can think of them as like indicators,
Of what?
of the karmic lessons we're here to learn in this life
Okay.
and the areas where we need to grow. So Rahu, which is the north node,
Okay.
that's associated with desire, ambition, what you're reaching for in this lifetime.
It's like what we're striving for.
Yeah, what you're striving for.
Right.
And Ketu, the south node, is more about what you've brought with you from the past.
Okay, so our past experiences.
Yeah, the experience and wisdom you've already accumulated.
So Rahu's pulling us forward
Yeah.
into new experiences.
Yeah, like the accelerator.
And Ketu's the brake, reminding us to slow down.
Yes, exactly, to reflect.
Okay, so like finding that balance between those two is key.
Right, exactly, because, if you're leaning too much into Rahu's desire,
Yeah.
you might be constantly chasing after things, never feeling satisfied.
Okay.
And if you're too much in Ketu's detachment, you might be holding yourself back from experiencing all that life has to offer.
Okay.
So the key is to find that balance.
Uh-huh.
And that's where the specific placement of those nodes in your birth chart comes in.
Okay.
So, for example, if Rahu falls in your 10th house, which is the house of career,
Okay.
you might have this burning ambition to be super successful professionally.
Okay, yeah.
But if Ketu falls in your 4th house, which is the house of home and family,
Yeah.
you might also need to be careful that you're not neglecting your personal life in the pursuit of that success.
So it's like finding that balance.
That's all about balance, right?
Yeah, between career and home life in that example.
Yeah, between the different areas of your life represented by the different houses.
Wow, this is making me think about how Vedic astrology really emphasizes that interconnectedness
It does.
of different areas of our lives.
It's very holistic.
It's not just about like
Isolated traits.
yeah, like isolated traits or predictions, but about how everything kind of weaves together.
Exactly. It's a system that recognizes the intricate dance between the cosmos and your individual life.
And speaking of dance,
Yes.
that's another concept we haven't even talked about yet,
Yes.
which is dasha periods.
Dasha periods, yes.
Okay, what are those?
So picture this. Each planet gets to take a turn, ruling different phases of your life
Oh, okay.
and bringing its unique energy and lessons to the forefront.
Okay.
And these phases, or dashas, they can last for years, and they can really influence the themes and experiences that unfold during that time.
So it's like each planet has its moment
In the
in the spotlight.
In the spotlight.
Okay, can you give me like a concrete example of how that might actually play out in someone's life?
Sure. So let's say someone's in a Jupiter dasha.
Okay.
Jupiter is associated with expansion, growth, good fortune.
Okay, sounds good.
That's right. So during that period, they might experience all sorts of opportunities, maybe for learning, for travel, for financial abundance even.
Okay.
However, if Jupiter's not so well placed in their birth chart, they might also have to be careful about, overindulging or having unrealistic expectations.
So even during like a good dasha, we still have to be mindful
You always have to be mindful, right?
of that balance.
It's always about context
Okay.
and how that planet is positioned in the birth chart and how it's interacting with all these other energies.
Yeah. Okay, so much to consider.
There is. And even the challenging dashas,
Yeah.
they can be opportunities for growth, right? They can help us shed old patterns, confront our shadows,
Okay.
ultimately become stronger and wiser.
So it's all part of the journey.
It's all part of the journey.
Okay, so we've got the nakshatras, the Vedic zodiac signs, the grahas, the houses, the dashas.
A lot to take in.
Yeah, I feel like my brain is about to explode, but I'm also like, wow, I'm starting to really get this.
It is a lot, but you're doing great.
Thanks.
We're just scratching the surface here.
I know. I am.
Vedic astrology is so vast.
I'm kind of like, I can't wait to learn more, but also give me a second to process.
Yeah, exactly. But I think we've laid a good foundation to
Yeah.
start exploring further.
I agree. And, before we wrap up for today,
Okay.
I'm so curious to hear, like, from your perspective,
Yeah.
what makes Vedic astrology so unique and so compelling? Why do you think it resonates with people so much?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
I think it's that combination of profound depth and practicality. It gives you this framework for understanding not just your personality traits, but also your soul's journey, your purpose, your karmic patterns.
Wow.
And
Okay.
it also gives you all these tools and insights for dealing with challenges in your life.
Okay, so like practical application.
Yeah, making choices that are in alignment with your dharma and ultimately reaching your highest potential.
I love that. It's like what we talked about at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's not about predicting a fixed destiny,
Well,
but it's about empowering us to understand these energies that are at play
exactly.
and to make conscious choice.
Be co-creating
Yeah.
with the cosmos.
I like that.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel like a
I-
sense of awe at the mystery and magic of it all.
And maybe that's the greatest gift that Vedic astrology has to offer.
What do you mean?
Just this reminder that we're part of something so much greater than ourselves,
Yeah.
connected to these rhythms of the universe
Yeah.
in ways we might never fully grasp.
I love that. And on that note, I think we need to take a breath, let all of this incredible information sink in.
We've covered a lot.
We really have. I'm ready to dive back in, but I need a second.
Me too. But when we come back, we're going to get into some of the more specific ways that you can actually apply these insights to your own life.
Ooh, okay.
I can start by looking at the unique energy of your Vedic sun sign.
Okay, can't wait for that. All right, so you mentioned before the break that we were going to look at our Vedic sun signs.
Yes, we are.
I'm really excited to find out how this system interprets my sign.
Okay, well, before we get into your specific sign,
Yeah.
it's important to remember that because Vedic astrology uses the sidereal zodiac.
Right.
your Vedic sun sign might not be the same as the one you're used to in Western astrology.
Right, right, because of that whole precession thing,
Exactly.
where the tropical zodiac has shifted away from the actual constellations over time.
Yes.
So
A7.
even if I feel connected to certain traits of, like, my Western sign, my Vedic sun sign could reveal, like, a whole different dimension of my personality.
That's exactly right. Like,
Yeah.
let's say someone has a Western sun sign of Taurus.
Okay.
They might actually have an Aries sun sign in Vedic astrology.
Interesting.
And the difference in, like, the elemental energies there can be really quite significant.
In what way?
Well, a Vedic Aries, they're known for being really fiery,
Okay.
independent, kind of like go-getters,
Yeah.
while a Taurus is typically more grounded,
Okay.
earthy,
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's not just a different name for the sign. It's like a
Right.
whole different way of expressing that sign's energy.
Okay, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
So how do we even go about figuring out what our Vedic sun sign is?
Well, to determine that accurately, we would need like your birth date, your birth time, your location.
Okay.
But even without those specific details, we can still explore like the general characteristics of each sign.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, and see what resonates with you.
So what are some of the key things to look for when we're interpreting, like, a Vedic sun sign?
Okay, well, much like in Western astrology, the sun sign in Vedic astrology, it really speaks to like your core identity,
Okay.
your ego, your overall life force.
So it's about understanding those fundamental energies
That's
that
it.
shape who we are at our core.
Exactly. And when we understand those energies, then we can kind of start to work with them more consciously.
Okay.
Play to our strengths, address our weaknesses, and ultimately fulfill our potential.
Okay, I'm ready to dive into these signs.
All right, let's do it.
Where should we start?
How about Gemini?
Okay.
Gemini is an interesting one
Yeah.
because it's ruled by Mercury, which is the planet of communication,
Okay.
intellect, adaptability.
Okay.
So in Vedic astrology, Geminis are known for their quick wit, their versatility, their insatiable curiosity.
So, like, if someone has a Gemini sun sign in Vedic astrology,
Yeah,
they're likely to be the life of the party,
there might be, yeah.
always up for a good conversation.
They love to talk, they love to learn,
Okay.
but there's more to it than that, right?
Yeah.
Geminis are also really deep thinkers.
Oh, interesting.
They're often juggling like multiple ideas and
Yes.
perspectives at once.
Yeah.
They can be incredibly adaptable. They thrive in environments that offer a lot of variety
Okay.
and mental stimulation.
It sounds like they would get bored easily if things were too routine or predictable.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They need that mental engagement
Okay.
and that sense of freedom to explore all their many interests.
This is making me think about, like, how the Vedic system seems to emphasize those karmic implications of each sign.
Yeah, it definitely does.
So what would be the karmic lesson for a Gemini sun sign?
That's a good question.
Like, what are they here to learn and to teach?
Well, for a Gemini, the karmic lesson might be about finding that balance
Okay.
between their intellectual pursuits and their
Yeah.
emotional depth. So they might need to learn to really integrate their thoughts and feelings,
Yeah.
connect with their intuition as well as their intellect.
So it's not about favoring one over the other.
Right. It's about finding that wholeness
Yeah.
and recognizing that every sign has its strengths and its shadows.
Yeah. Okay, and speaking of shadows,
Oh, yes.
let's revisit Rahu and Ketu.
The shadow planets, yes.
I'm still kind of intimidated by them, but also really fascinated.
Yeah, well, they're definitely powerful forces.
Right.
But remember, Rahu represents those desires and ambitions.
Yeah.
And Ketu represents those past experiences
Okay.
and the karmic baggage.
So how do those tie into, like, the whole Vedic sun sign interpretation?
Well, the placement of these nodes in your birth chart can really illuminate those karmic challenges
Okay.
and opportunities that are associated with your sun sign.
So, for example, if someone has a Gemini sun sign
Yeah.
and Rahu is placed in their second house, which is the house of values and possessions, it could suggest that they have this, like, really strong desire for material security.
Yeah, that's a great example.
Or
of that.
maybe a karmic lesson around learning to value experiences over material things.
Exactly. It's all about looking at that specific placement of these nodes and how they're influencing, the rest of the chart.
Okay, wow, this has been so enlightening.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I'm starting to see how Vedic astrology can be this, like, really powerful tool for self-discovery
Absolutely.
and for personal growth. It's
Yeah.
not just about knowing what your sign is,
Right.
but it's about understanding, like, the deeper meaning behind it
Exactly.
and how it interacts with all of these other cosmic forces.
It's so much more than just your sun sign.
It really is.
It's this journey of unfolding,
Yeah,
peeling back the layers, discovering the richness and complexity within
I
ourselves
love that.
and our connection to the universe.
And that's a journey that I am definitely feeling inspired to continue.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, thank you so much for guiding us through this fascinating deep dive into Vedic astrology.
Oh, it's been my pleasure.
I feel like we've all gained some really valuable insights today.
I hope so.
And to all of our listeners out there, thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
Keep your eyes on the stars and your hearts open to the possibilities.
I love that.